Whether you're brand new to the drum set or you're just looking for some intermediate level tips, here are 5 things to think about while you practice. While this handsome man is setting up the drum kit, we're going to be talking about thing number 1 to keep in mind while you practice, and that is your body positioning, ergonomics. You need to make sure that you're not undergoing any sort of stress or fatigue on your body so that it is in the optimal position for playing. Other causes of injury are an increase in the amount that you're playing or the intensity of that, or worse yet, misuse, which is caused by bad technique. So this is something you need to address right away. Don't compromise on it. Make sure that your stuff is set up in a way that your back feels good, your arms feel good, your shoulders feel good. Everything should be feeling okay before you even begin. So there's one thing we have to get out of the way right now, and I think my friend Jake the dog said it best.
Dude, sucking at something is the first step towards being sorta good at something.
It's okay to suck at something at first. You've never done it before. Things take time. Now, that being said, one thing you need to consider, and the second thing to keep in mind when you practice, is how far do you see yourself going with this? You don't need to have all of the answers right now, but it's important to consider before you start committing yourself. Maybe you just want to be good enough to impress your friends. Maybe you only need to be good enough to play shows at Gus's pub with your reggae ska fusion band. Or maybe you want to take your skills to the top and push yourself to the absolute apex of your musical ability. Whatever the case, knowing how far you want to go with your music will help you set goals for yourself in the future, and this is critically important, as we'll see later on in the video. The third thing you need to be thinking about when you're in the practice room is how are you spending your time? What is it that you're actually working towards? Are you being deliberate about your actions and how you perform them? How often have you been this guy in the practice room?
You freaking idiot.
I don't think he's being very productive, do you? Now, let's compare this to actually thinking about what we're going to practice before sitting down with the instrument. Perhaps a special style or a new piece of repertoire you've been thinking about working on, or something provided by a teacher. In any event, it really pays off to have goals for your practice session. Your goal could be something as simple as, play this exercise at a slow tempo without making any mistakes. But we can break this down even farther. We could make even smaller goals within that, perhaps choosing to examine a specific bar of the exercise, or a certain rhythm or passage that is giving us particular trouble. With micromanagement, your own listening skills, and self-assessment, you should always be aware of what you're doing and how it can benefit you in the future. To what end are you doing this exercise? That's a question you should be able to answer for all of your practice sessions. The fourth thing for you players of all experience levels to keep in mind is that you need to slow down when you're playing in the practice room. It's in our nature as learners to want to go fast. It's in our nature to want to play at the pace of the song, but we can't do that when we learn. Try playing that scale slower and see how it feels. Even slower than that, and really listen. Do you hear how even and balanced his tone has gotten now that he's listening to what he's playing? You don't need to be stampeding towards the next bar line. There's a lot to be gained from slow, meditative, deliberate practice. Make sure your muscles are doing exactly what they need to be doing, make sure you're getting the correct tone that you're looking for, and make sure that all of it is happening at once together in a rhythm that you can handle. This last tip is perhaps the most important of them all. When you happen to make a mistake, and it might happen from time to time. Stop what you're doing and correct it right then and there. If you don't correct a mistake as soon as you notice it, your body could repeat it and then begin to make it a habit. Habits are much more difficult to absolve than simple mistakes. Create an interrupt system in your brain to notice mistakes, stop your playing, and address what went wrong so that it doesn't happen again. That is the point of practice after all, isn't it? To make less mistakes during our performances? So all you need to do is keep these 5 things in your head while you're practicing, and in no time, you should notice a large improvement. Make sure to pay attention to your posture so that you don't injure yourself or learn bad technique. Think about your musical future and where you would like to be and how to get there. Once you've got that vision, be deliberate, set goals, be specific, make sure everything that you're practicing is directly related to achieving those goals. When you practice, it's not a race, the music isn't going anywhere. Last but not least, make sure you address and fix your mistakes as they come up rather than later on, where there'll be much more work to deal with. I hope you all learned a little something today, and I'll see you in the practice rooms.